This is a Niners issue, but we'll get the input
Don't
of
roll your eyes, Greg. It's okay.
Raiders
Come
fan.
on.
So Brandon Ayuk wants to get paid as much as Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is, I believe he's making like 30 plus a year. I believe or it's 30 a year. It's like 30 a year for 4 years. Um, Personally, as a diehard Niners fan, Ayuk may be a true number one receiver. To me, in our offense, we don't use him like one. We use him like a slot receiver. So to pay $30 million for somebody with 80 catches that we're using on 10 yards in slot routes seems insane. And we could probably get a nice little haul for him. I would much rather do that. Um, Deacon Hill, from an outsider's perspective, and I know you watch all the Niners games very carefully and you're paying attention to everything. Do you, if I mean, if you were a Niners fan, would you want us to sign Brandon Ayuk to 30 million a year? And as not a Niners fan, would you like us to sign him for $30 million a year?
Well, I can't put myself as saying a Niner fan, so we're gonna just go on past that one. As
Right.
not a Niner fan, I wish you guys would sign him for anything that he wants. Just I think you should sign him for what he needs more, double that.
60 a year.
Break your cap, trade away a couple other players, and sign that man. Get him his money.
So if you were Joe, you got to rephrase the question. If you were the GM and the owner, and it was your team, knowing what you've gotten from Ayuk in his career so far, would you pay him $30 million a year?
No, seriously, all right, I'm gonna answer the question. I would agree with Joe. I watched him, and at first it was supposed to be what's it, Debo? It's supposed to be Debo was supposed to be you guys' number one guy, and then he comes in, and then all of a sudden now he's your number one guy. I think they're pretty much similar players. You probably could stretch the field a little bit better than him, but like you said, you could throw somebody else in there and almost get that, Debo, and put somebody opposite, you'll get that. Now, I would not break the bank for him. No.
Brother Bill.
No, you can't. I see you can, but to pay him, the cost to keep him, to me, is going to exceed the benefits that they get out of him, number one, and what they'll have to deal with next year and in 2026. So it's a financial decision, I think, to say if you're going to pay that kind of money, you're going to pay for it this year and next year. And if with a championship window as narrow as it is now with other teams, I can't see the Niners can afford to do that, because you have to bend the offense to try to make up for what you are going to lose if you don't sign him. It's not impossible. It's going to take some effort, but again, you do that with players in the right situations and the right play calling. In a team that runs the ball more than they pass the ball anyways. They run the ball to set up the pass. So I think offensively they can do enough where, hopefully they can get a deal done. But if not, hey, understand, just business.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it and to me, it's more on how we use him than him. I mean, he may go someplace else and just absolutely crush it because they use a number one like a number one. Like paying somebody like Devontae Adams and using him like they use Devontae Adams. I mean, if the Raiders had a quarterback, but using him like if they use like in Green Bay, where they do stretch the field, where he does have like a 60-yard pass, where he is that guy. Yeah, use him. But to me, they don't even use him like that. Like if they could get somebody quick, he can do the same thing, because even the run game's setting up 15-yard passes. The run game's not setting up 40-yard passes. So we're using him in this like little box, which I think is also part of why we were so easy to defend in the playoffs, because it's just a small window. And I think it's the scheming. It's not the abilities of the players.
Is it? Can he? I don't know if he has that type of speed as a number one. Can he stretch the field, like you said? The routes that they run, is it the quarterback, or is it just a scheme? Why? I don't never see him stretching the field like that. So,
but I don't. Yeah. But I've never seen Kyle, as the Niners guys, really stretch the field really with anybody except for like a trick play with Kittle. He doesn't, and I don't know if that's. I think it's more of a scheme thing than anything else.
Well, if part of it was, remember, think about the quarterbacks that Kyle Shanahan has had to work with, right? And he had to work with quarterbacks who weren't accurate on the deep ball. And so he had to adjust his offense. I don't say adjust, but the offense reflected that. A lot of short to middle of the field passes, right? And so with Purdy now going into his third year, the question will be whether or not, regardless of if IQ is there or not, if Kyle feels confident enough in Purdy as a deep passer to have more deep passes. Over the course of a season, I could probably count on one hand the number of times that the ball's been thrown more than 40 yards downfield. And they've been able to methodically move the ball down the field.
And see, I don't see it as you saying does he feel comfortable? No, it's what do I see? They got training camp, they got all. That's when you prove that you could do this stuff. So if you're not doing it in training camp and stuff, that's not your strong point. So it's not about whether I feel comfortable. No, that ain't what you do.
Well, Brock can throw the ball downfield, and we're going to see in. I don't say see in training camp, but I'm interested to see if the season reflects that in the play calling.
Why wouldn't you do that, Bill? Answer me this quick. If I have a player that's just like if I have a player that can shoot threes, and I say don't shoot threes. If you can shoot threes, shoot threes. If you can throw the ball down the field, throw the ball down the field.
But
because we're forgetting that coverage has a little bit to do with it too, right? Because most of the teams that most teams who defended the Niners, they played too deep safety, right? And dared the Niners to try to throw over the top, and they just most of the time they didn't. That's why things were short to intermediate. So you have to tip your hat to the defense. That's what I say. It would be interesting to see if they do some things given the way defenses usually play them.
I think Kyle's a weird coach. I think Kyle has a scheme that he doesn't necessarily fit to the players he has. He fits his players to his scheme. So I don't know if he even utilizes guys in the best way that he can. Like Kittle's a ridiculous pass catching tight end. He uses him to block 90% of the time. Debo is a terrible run a streak, catch a ball over your shoulder wide receiver. He did that 2 times in the Super Bowl with him. Kyle's a weird guy. I think he has a very good offense, and I think it kind of doesn't matter who the players are. It's going to kind of automatically look the same. And I think that's a strength of his, and I think it's also a weakness of his, because I don't even know if he's even using Brandon Aiyuk in the best way possible. I mean, Brandon Aiyuk seems like a very quick, very fast guy. Does he have streaky straight speed? I don't know. He's very twitchy. He's very, very, quick moves and stuff, but he uses them on these little like 10-yard ins and 10-yard out passes. He's a great
route. Yeah, he's a great route runner, because if you look at some of the routes, when he on his like third or fourth step, he was cutting in and out and he was wide open. So his route running improved from early in his career. I'm talking about Aiyuk. Mm-hmm. And so you're right, but it's to say you're gonna force players or make players fit your scheme. To me, that's a tough recipe, because they say, whatever their strength is, you want to play to whatever their strength is. So we'll just see. We'll see what the season looks like.